What's going on, guys? So I'm out and about today. You get to see my face again. I think I've done one other video where you see my face other than the pictures I've put at the end of my videos, so here I am. Haven't done this a whole lot, so I've just got a little mount on my windshield, and I'm gonna try to keep looking at the camera, even though it's way more easy to look at myself and how things are going. But because I'm out and about today, I wanted to do my video that I was telling you I was going to do about apartment complexes. My other video that showed fire extinguishers and kind of what you can learn from a fire extinguisher was the first part of that video explaining the tags and how they work. And so if you haven't seen that video, go back and check it out, because some of that information will be pertinent to what I say in this information. So I've written a little note, so hopefully I stay on track and don't ramble too much. But essentially, the gist of it is, working in fire service, I have had the opportunity to be at tons and tons of apartment complexes. Now, if you don't live in an apartment, this probably won't matter to you, but a lot of people do live in apartments. You might have a sister, a mom, anybody that's getting ready to move in an apartment complex. This is pretty valuable information in my opinion, because I consistently saw the same exact things, and so I started noticing a trend. So if you have the ability to notice these things or look for these types of things, it can help you hopefully in choosing a better apartment complex, a place that you're going to be happier with, and a place that you're not going to be miserable. Because there are plenty of miserable people in plenty of miserable apartments, and there are plenty of disgusting apartments out there, and sometimes you don't know it until after you've already signed a lease agreement. So if you are able to avoid that or use a couple of these little things, observations, then I think that you'll find that you're way happier with the apartment you choose, and you might potentially be steered away from an apartment that's just totally disgusting and totally scary. So forgive me if I'm looking at my notes a lot, but let's get into it. Things to look for before you sign your lease, okay? Now, one thing I want to say is, these are things you might have to look for that you may not notice right when you go and tour an apartment or talk with a leasing agent, okay? These are things that if you're really considering this apartment, that you really should look into maybe after the fact. After you are done talking to the leasing agent, you can look like you're driving away. It's not like most of the offices are right in front of the parking lot. Some of them are, but hey, if the community is gated, just sit and wait for another car to come out and drive in and go check some of these things out, because I guarantee you I will save you a lot of time and hassle. But this is homework or stuff you're going to have to do outside of the leasing agent communication, the front office, and dealing with them, kind of outside of seeing the actual model, although there's a couple things that you can look for. Okay, but the first obvious thing is the cleanliness. Okay, you want to check the cleanliness of the apartment complex. Does it look clean? Does it look like it's well kept? Does it look like they've had landscapers actually working at this place? Grass cut? Is there dog crap everywhere? I mean, these are small things, but these are all telltale signs of whether a place is properly taken care of. One other important thing to check the dumpsters, the trash dumpsters. Check the ones at the back of the property, not just the ones up front. What you have to understand is they're trying to appeal to you. So everything they're trying to show you is the stuff by the office, the stuff along the pathway to the model itself. Those are areas that they're going to keep better looking. They're going to keep them better landscaped. They're going to make sure that they're cleaned up, because obviously they don't want to walk out of the front office and walk you down a path of just junk and crap. So never trust exactly what it looks like on that pathway, because that's what they're paying attention to. If the landscapers are taking care of things or maintenance is taking care of things, that's the area they're going to take care of. Anything on that pathway to the model or back, they're focused on. Now, if you can go to the back of the property and look at buildings at the far, far back of the property, that's where you want to go, because that's where things are not going to be as kept up. They're not expecting you to go look at those things. So you want to check that on your own, just for the general overall look of the apartment complex and the quality, and also where the actual apartment is that you might be considering renting. You want to look for those types of things, not just by the model, okay? Are the pools clean and accessible? Okay, that's another big deal. I'm in Arizona, so pools are a big deal for a lot of people. Well, I can't tell you how many really bad apartment complexes constantly have issues with the pool. They don't have the money to pay for proper maintenance. And those pools, even though they say they have pools, and the guy that took the picture a long time ago for this great website they have, or their pamphlet, they're going to have those pools sometimes chained up, sometimes for a really long time. And don't be afraid to ask a random person who's standing out on their patio smoking a cigarette, you know, how do you like this apartment? The pool's open very often, things like that. Because a chained up pool sometimes can be chained up and locked, even though they say it's an amenity, can be locked for months sometimes. And that's man, I'm having a tough time with that word, amenity, that you're not going to get. Okay, is it the pool that's by your apartment? Do you have to go across the apartment complex to a different pool? Those are things to look for. Look for chains, specifically chains on the gates of pools, not just the locks. This can be hard to tell. Look at the condition of the pool. Is it green? Is it ugly? Etc. Etc. Okay, another one that's kind of strange, but I don't know about anywhere else, but in Arizona, maybe it's the heat, I'm not sure. But this is a telltale sign of a bad apartment complex. Sorry, it's just a fact. If it's a 2-story or a 3-story style apartment complex, and they're showing you apartments, or you have the opportunity, like I said, to walk around, go and smell what it smells like underneath the stairwells to the different apartments, especially if they're gravel or dirt, because bad apartment complexes a lot of times have a ton of stray cats, and those cats will pee and urinate all over the bottom of those stairs. It's consistent. I've noticed it a ton, so I can say that it does happen a lot. And when it's happening a lot, you've already got a sign of an apartment complex that has a little bit of an issue, and you're going to be smelling cat piss all the time. So smell. If you smell urine, it's another telltale sign. Okay? You want to check the patios for cleanliness. Now, this is kind of a double-edged sword, because, you know, you can have these front end office Nazis that are going crazy about, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, and so the patios are all going to look perfect. But generally speaking, if you look at enough of the patios, you can see if somebody's had something that's been out for a while. You can tell when something's worn. You can tell when something's had rainfall on it and then it's dried back up. Apartment complexes with a lot of really junky patios, kind of a telltale sign of they don't care. They're not enforcing the rules. If they have a rule about keeping your patio neat and clean. I've gone to some complexes where it looks like the patio is like their third storage area for just so much stuff that it's just disgusting and it's gross. So keep that in mind. I think I talked about this, checking the back of the property, not just the model. Okay, ask how many maintenance people they have. Don't be afraid to ask that, because you need to kind of do a maintenance to number of units ratio. If they've got 2 maintenance guys and they have 200 units at this place, that's kind of an issue. If they've got a bunch of maintenance guys, then that's great. Don't be afraid to look around the complex. Do you see maintenance guys? Are they working? Are they around? Are there golf carts? A lot of them drive golf carts. Are they all in the same spot? Do you see active maintenance? Because I'll tell you what, low maintenance numbers will affect you if you have a work order, okay? So if you've got 1 maintenance guy or 2 maintenance guys at a very large property, if you put in a maintenance request for something like an air conditioner or a faulty faucet or a toilet or something like that, and there's only 2 maintenance guys, how many other people do you think have work orders out? A lot. And so that will affect your quality of life there, especially if you have an issue inside the apartment. The maintenance guys are the key. Once you get into an apartment, always keep the maintenance guys happy, because they can make or break it. They can treat you right. Do not be mean to the maintenance guys, because a lot of times they have the hammer coming down on them from the front office, okay? Yeah, you need to treat them well, but also find out how many there are, because you don't want to be screwed when it comes time for a work order to be filled at an apartment of 300 units and 3 maintenance guys. It's 1 maintenance guy per 100 units. So kind of do the math and figure that out. Don't be afraid to ask. Okay, look around for them, see if you see them around on the property. You don't have to ask them per se, but don't be afraid to ask the front office person, okay? Now this is another one that's, I find this to be a huge, huge inconvenience in people's lives, but they forget and they don't realize because they don't notice it. And what that is parking, okay? If you're moving into an apartment, you need to pay attention to the parking. If you have multiple vehicles, or you're a multiple people in your family that have vehicles, they may give you an assigned covered parking spot or something like that, maybe even a garage or whatever, depending on what you pay for. But they'll usually just give you 1, maybe 2. You probably have to pay for the second one. But if parking is a big concern for you, or you have a mom or somebody who can't get around that well, maybe they don't per se have like a handicap placard on their license plate or on their mirror, but they have a hard time getting around, pay attention to that. If they're retired, it might be a little bit different because they'll be home during the day, but here's what happens. You go to check out the apartment during the day most of the time. People are at work. People are gone. Parking lot doesn't look that bad, okay? If you are truly considering an apartment complex and parking or the amount of vehicles you own is important to you, go check it out at night. If the gates are locked, wait for somebody to pull in and then go check it and see if you can find a parking place. My dad lives at a place that every time I go visit him, if it's on a weekend or anytime after about 4 or 5 o'clock at night, I kid you not, I have to park like a quarter of a mile away. It is that big of a complex, but the parking is that horrible. So if parking close to your apartment is important, check the place later, late at night. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. That's when people have come home and you drive around and go, well, they told me my apartment's gonna be right here, but man, I just had to drive way over there to park my car, and that's an issue for a lot of people, okay? Okay, for the fire safety stuff, I don't want to be too long-winded. I'm going to show you maybe a video talking about the fire extinguisher boxes, but go back to my other video and look and see what I was telling you about how to check the dates. But here's the bottom line. If they are not willing to take care of their fire safety stuff, they don't give a crap about their complex. It's just that simple. If they're privately owned, a lot of times they can be trying to save money and cut corners. But if they're a bigger, like a large property management company that has a bunch of different places throughout different parts of the state or whatever, different states, there are some really good companies out there that stay on top of this stuff. So generally speaking though, if their fire safety stuff is not taken care of, run, okay? I've gone to apartment complexes, it's 2018 right now, I've gone to apartment complexes where I wouldn't be a bit surprised to walk in and find that the fire extinguisher tags that are on the extinguishers that no one's paying attention to, say 2012, which means they haven't had somebody check or tag or do an inspection on those since 2012. And fire marshals are busy. They're going around and checking places as best they can, as often as they can, but they're not going to get to everything. So if they haven't done anything since 2012, and you can look on the fire extinguisher tag and it's right there, it's kind of scary. They don't care, and I would run from places like that. It means they generally are just not taking care of stuff. It's fire safety. It's a huge liability. If the place burns down, that's a big deal. So it's got to be a top priority, and if that's not a priority, it's a problem. So you want to check the fire extinguisher boxes. I'm going to try to go to buy an apartment and show you what I'm talking about, but outside, about within every 75 feet, unless it's a really old complex that doesn't they call it grandfathered in as far as the regulations and the boxes. They have boxes about every 75 feet. Generally at apartment complexes, first floor, second floor, third floor, between the apartments and the breezeways and the walkways, they'll have a fire extinguisher box. If they don't have those, they'll have them inside the apartments. Those would be a little harder for you to check, but if you walk an apartment that they say is going to be yours, ask them if they have one. Check under the sink, look at the date on it, okay? But those boxes, they're just usually a white box, or they've painted them, okay, and they have a fire extinguisher inside them, and most of the time, so people won't mess with them. Most of the time, so people won't mess with them, they'll have plexiglass in the front of it with a lock on it, okay? So just look through the plexiglass if you're able to and take a look, okay? So anything that says 2017 right now, that's not too much of an issue because like I said, when you look at my other video, you get a year from the date that was inspected. So don't freak out if it says 2017 right now, because anything from this month through 2018 is good. You want to start worrying when you see older dates, okay? 2015, 2013, that means bad stuff, okay? The other thing that's really important that you want to check is check this around the area they tell you your apartment is going to be. And that is, are the fire extinguisher boxes vandalized? Are they destroyed? Is the glass broken? Are the extinguisher powder all over the place? And if you see that the general area that you're going to rent, the apartment or the unit, should I say, that you're going to rent has problems with the extinguisher box, I would immediately recommend walking around the surrounding building. So like a lot of apartments will have an entry here, 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 and here, 4 sides, 2 sides sometimes, just kind of depends. But go and check those other extinguishers. Check the second floor if you're on the first floor. Check the bottom floor if you're on the second floor. Check the surrounding extinguishers for a decent radius. And the reason I say that is you can have a great apartment complex and it can be pretty good, but man, there are sometimes troubled areas. You can go to the back of the complex. They'll say, okay, this is what we have available, or the 2-bedroom we have available is apartment 244. And you go over to 244 and you look, and the box is destroyed or the glass is broken. And then you kind of look around and the other glass is broken. You've got vandals in that area. Okay, it happens all the time. I can go and do a whole apartment complex and everything stays pretty good, and I can go right back up with nothing else other than doing my fire safety job and tell the management, hey, you guys have some kids and some vandals and some problems over by building 44, 43, 44, 42 area. Oh yeah, we've got problems over there. How do I know? Because they're busting out those boxes. Kids are stealing the extinguishers. They're breaking stuff. They're shooting their airsoft guns and their BB guns and stuff at the boxes. It's a problem area. It doesn't necessarily mean that that apartment is bad, but it means stay away from that area. Say, do you have another 2-bedroom over here? And then go look in that area, okay? They can be very focused little areas, and doesn't mean the whole complex is bad, but it definitely means you have a problem in that area, and you're probably going to be dealing with, kids that are breaking stuff. That means stuff that's on your patio is going to be in jeopardy. It's just, you don't want to be in that area. You want it to be nice and peaceful. Okay, apartment living's hard enough as it is. Okay, look up if you're inside of apartments and they have overhead sprinklers. Are they dirty? Is there paint covering the sprinkler heads? If they're very, very dirty and disgusting and there's paint covering them, they're not taking care of their fire stuff. Okay, you shouldn't have paint on any sprinkler heads. If they've had painters spray over that, they haven't had very good painters. It just means they've dropped their quality. Okay, I have my appointment here in a couple minutes, so I have to wrap up. Check the pull stations. The pull stations sometimes are in like 3-level buildings, sometimes all the buildings, but are they destroyed? Are they peeling off the wall? Do they look disgusting? Key things to look at. Okay, let me check my book and see if I got anything else. Other than that, I'm probably going to wrap up this video and maybe just do one at an apartment complex to show you kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think that's about it. Anyway, there's a bunch of telltale signs, okay? Hopefully you've learned something from this, and I guarantee you that if you utilize all these things I've told you about, and you've gone back on your own, or you've left the office and the tour, and you look on your own, you'll notice some of this stuff. And if you don't notice some of this stuff, it's probably an okay place. Is it clean all around? It's probably an okay place. But just some tips that I've learned that are pretty consistent, pretty much the same. Oh, one other thing. Trust Yelp reviews. Everybody that's read Yelp reviews, we all know when you can read that one long, super long review where they're taking pot shots at the manager and saying them by name and stuff. Those are sometimes disgruntled, pissed off people. But generally speaking, if you've got like a bunch of Yelp reviews where people say, stay away from this place, I hated my time, I can't wait till my lease is up. I've checked Yelp reviews specifically of apartments that I've gone to where I've never been there before, because a lot of times you go back year after year. But if I've never gone there before, I'll check Yelp reviews and I'll be like, I know the place I'm walking in today is just crap. I know it is, because I can tell by the reviews, and they are pretty accurate, so trust them. 1 or 2's whatever, but if there's a consistency in those reviews, trust the reviews. But I gotta go for now. I'll do a little bit more video later if I can get to an apartment complex and show you a little more what I'm talking about. But other than that, I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye. All right, guys, we're in an apartment complex. So this is one of the breezeways I was gonna show you. It's a 2-level apartment complex. Here's the fire extinguisher boxes. So you just wanna check these things out. If you go look on here, you can see inside, and go back to my other video where it explains this, but this was 2017. Looks like everything's in good shape, and this is very uncommon actually. It's not very normal to have these here, so they are obviously taking good care of these places. That's the type of thing that can get stolen easily, but they still have it here, which means it's been pretty well taken care of. Check to make sure that they've been done. And like I said, they'll be in the breezeways. So we'll go upstairs real quick. I can already see it up there. And as you can see, the 2017 tag is on there. The glass is in good shape. So, yeah. And what you just want to do is check your apartment area and check the stuff that's around. Like I said, if that one were to be broken or destroyed, there would be a good chance that that one would be downstairs would be broken and destroyed as well. And if that's the case, you want to check the other surrounding buildings for me, if that one was broken, I would probably go over here to the other breezeway and go down there and check those ones. And then I would probably walk to the other side over here and check the next building over and check those. And if you see a bunch of them broken and destroyed and vandalized, then you know that these apartments in this general area are having a little bit of an issue. So, you know, just the surrounding areas. But there you go. Check my other video for how to understand the dates on fire extinguishers. And with that, guys, I will talk to you next time. All right, guys, I'm back. I just did the walk around video so that you could see what to check for in the fire extinguisher boxes. I hope all that stuff made good sense to you. I did have one other thing I wanted to add. Apartment complexes, unless they're brand new, don't usually have the upfront money to upgrade apartments all in one big, you know, swoop. Okay, they obviously have tenants and stuff like that, so they upgrade apartments as tenants move out. Make sure always that you are putting eyes on the actual unit that you are going to be moving into. Do not move into an apartment sight unseen. You want to see if they've had those upgrades. If they don't, ask them if they will be done before you move in, or ask them if they have an apartment that has the upgrades. Because a lot of times you're looking at the model and the model looks really nice, but the one you're moving into hasn't had any upgrades done. So a lot of times there can be a price difference in that. You need to ask them about that. Usually they'll explain that to you. But yeah, I've seen and heard of many times of people having kind of a bait and switch where they see this great model and these updated countertops and updated appliances and lighting, and then they're moved into an apartment paying sometimes even the same price, and it's not upgraded. So put eyes on the actual apartment you're going to be moving into. Follow the other things that I was telling you about, and I think if you do that, you will find that you'll be much happier at the apartment that you move into. It's a big deal, because once you sign that lease, man, some of the worst people in the world are apartment complexes when you break a lease. So if you hate that place and you want out, you are in for a long, nasty process if they want to be, you know, difficult about it. And sometimes they do. So it's not a foolproof way to do things. I mean, you got to kind of let your gut tell you how you feel about this place. But if you look at some of the things I've told you about, I can pretty much guarantee you that you're going to be at least getting a higher quality apartment or a better quality living experience at that apartment complex than many others, because there's a lot of horrible ones, and there's some great ones too. So I think with that, I'm going to head home to the wife and kids. No kids back here right now. I got a break when I went and got my hair cut. But I'm going to head back home, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.